Maya stood outside the glass doors of Romano's restaurant, her heart beating fast. She checked her phone again. 15 minutes late. Great way to start a blind date, she thought to herself. Her best friend Lucy had been talking about this guy for weeks. "He's my cousin's coworker," Lucy had said. "Really nice, down to earth, just like you. You two would be perfect together." Maya smoothed down her black dress one more time. It was her only good dress, bought from a second-hand store downtown. She'd spent her lunch break getting it altered so it would fit better. The restaurant looked so fancy through the windows. Crystal glasses sparkled on white tablecloths, and waiters in bow ties moved between tables carrying silver trays. Taking a deep breath, Maya pushed open the heavy door. The smell of expensive food hit her right away. A woman in a perfect suit stood behind a wooden counter looking at Maya like she was trying to figure out if she belonged here. "I'm meeting someone," Maya said quickly. "He should already be here." The hostess smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Name?" Maya realized she didn't know his last name. Lucy had just said David from accounting. Her cheeks turned red. I'm not sure. It's a blind date." "I see," the hostess said, clearly not impressed. Maya looked around the busy restaurant. Men in suits sat at different tables, some alone, some with other people. How was she supposed to know which one was David? She felt sweat on her forehead despite the air conditioning. Then she saw him, a man sitting by himself at a corner table looking at his phone. He had dark hair and was wearing a navy blue suit that looked expensive. Maybe David dressed up to impress her? That was sweet, even if it made her feel even more underdressed. "Never mind, I found him," Maya told the hostess and walked toward the corner table. The man looked up as she approached. For a second he seemed surprised to see her. He had kind brown eyes and a nice face. Not exactly handsome like a movie star, but there was something warm about him. "David?" Maya asked, sliding into the chair across from him. "I'm so sorry I'm late. The bus was running behind, and then I couldn't find parking. Well, I don't have a car, actually. I meant I couldn't find the right bus stop near here, and—" She stopped herself. She was rambling again, the way she always did when she was nervous. The man stared at her for a moment. Something flickered across his face like he was trying to decide something. Then he smiled. "It's okay. Don't worry about it." His voice was deeper than she expected. Nice. Calming. "I hope you weren't waiting too long," Maya continued. "Lucy told me you work in accounting with her cousin. That must be interesting." Again, that strange look crossed his face, but he nodded. "Something like that, yes." A waiter appeared next to their table so quietly that Maya jumped a little. "Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink?" Maya looked at the menu and her eyes went wide. $12 for a glass of wine? $18 for a cocktail? She usually bought an entire bottle of wine for $8. "Just water for me, please," she said quickly. "Are you sure?" The man asked. "Please order whatever you'd like." "It's my treat." "Oh no, I couldn't. We should split everything." "That's only fair." He smiled at that. "I insist, really. How about some wine? The Pinot Grigio here is excellent." Maya looked at him carefully. He seemed sincere, and Lucy had said he was nice. Maybe he was just being polite. "Well, if you're sure. That sounds lovely." 2 glasses of the Pinot Grigio, he told the waiter. "And could we see the appetizer menu?" When the waiter left, Maya felt the need to fill the silence. So accounting. That's really practical. Good job security, right? I mean, everyone needs accountants. Businesses, people filing taxes. It's steady work, he nodded slowly. "Very steady, yes." "I work at the Riverside Community Center," Maya said. "It's not glamorous, but I love it. We run after-school programs for kids, help families sign up for services they need, that sort of thing. The pay isn't great, but seeing those kids learn and grow, it makes everything worth it." Something in his expression changed. He leaned forward slightly. "That sounds really meaningful. Tell me more about it." Maya's face lit up. Most people's eyes glazed over when she talked about work. "Well, we have about 60 kids who come regularly, ages 6 to 16. Some of them just need a safe place to go after school while their parents work. Others need help with homework because their parents don't speak English well enough to help them. And some," she paused, "some just need someone to listen to them, you know?" The wine arrived. Maya took a small sip. It was delicious, probably the best wine she'd ever tasted. She made a mental note to remember the name so maybe someday she could buy a bottle for a special occasion. "What's the most rewarding part?" he asked. Maya thought about it. "There's this 10-year-old girl, Rosa. When she first started coming, she wouldn't talk to anyone. Just sat in the corner reading the same book over and over. Turns out her family had just moved here from Guatemala, and she was scared about everything being different. Now she's one of our best math students, and she helps translate for other new kids. She's going to do amazing things someday. You can see that in a 10-year-old? Oh yes, kids are incredible. They're so much stronger than adults think. They just need someone to believe in them. The man was quiet for a moment, watching her face as she talked. And what about you? What do you want to do someday? Maya laughed, a little embarrassed. This might sound silly, but I dream about opening my own after-school program. Something bigger than what we have now. A place with a real kitchen where kids can learn to cook healthy meals. Computers for homework help. Maybe even an art studio, somewhere kids can discover what they're good at, you know? That doesn't sound silly at all. It sounds incredible. The waiter came back with small plates of fancy appetizers. Maya tried not to stare at the prices on the menu. One appetizer cost more than she usually spent on groceries in a week. Please try the bruschetta, the man said. It's really good here. Maya took a bite. The flavors exploded in her mouth. Fresh tomatoes, basil, garlic, all on perfectly toasted bread with just a hint of olive oil. This is amazing, she said, covering her mouth because she was still chewing. He smiled, and Maya noticed it reached his eyes this time. A real smile. I'm glad you like it. So what about you? Maya asked. Do you like accounting? I mean, I know some people think it's boring, but there must be parts of it you enjoy. Another pause. That hesitation again. It has its moments. I get to work with numbers, analyze how businesses run. There's a satisfaction in making everything add up correctly. Lucy said you work with her cousin Tom. He seems nice from what she's told me. The man's expression shifted slightly. Tom, yes. Good guy. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but she couldn't put her finger on what. Maybe he was just nervous too. Blind dates were awkward for everyone. Can I ask you something? Maya said, taking another sip of wine. What made you say yes to this? I mean, blind dates are pretty scary. You could end up with anyone. He looked directly at her then. I guess I was ready for something different. Something real. The way he said real made Maya's stomach flutter a little. There was something in his voice, like he meant more than he was saying. Me too, she admitted. I was so nervous walking in here. This place is way fancier than anywhere I usually go. I was worried I'd embarrass myself. You could never embarrass yourself, he said quietly. You're perfect just as you are. Maya felt her cheeks get warm. She looked down at her hands. That's very sweet of you to say. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, eating the delicious appetizers. Maya found herself relaxing despite the fancy surroundings. There was something calming about this man. David. She needed to remember his name was David. Are you close with your family? She asked. My parents worked incredibly hard when I was growing up, he said. They taught me that nothing worthwhile comes easy, that you have to earn what you have. What do? They used to run a small grocery store in Chinatown. 12-hour days, 7 days a week. They wanted to make sure I had opportunities they never had. Maya nodded. My mom's like that. She works 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and working at the hospital during the day. She always tells me education is the one thing nobody can take away from you. That's why she was so proud when I graduated college, even if it took me 6 years because I had to work while studying. 6 years while working? That's impressive, not really. I just did what I had to do. We all do what we have to do, right? He studied her face. Not everyone sees it that way. The waiter returned to check on them. Would you like to see the dinner menu? Maya glanced at her phone. They'd been talking for over an hour already. Time had flown by. Are you hungry? The man asked her. The food here really is excellent. Maya looked at the menu prices again. Even the cheapest entree was $35. She made that in almost 4 hours at work, but he seemed to really want to stay. And honestly, she was enjoying herself more than she'd expected. If you're sure, she said, but I insist on paying for my half. Absolutely not, he said firmly. I asked you to dinner. Well, Lucy asked you, but you know what I mean. Maya laughed. Okay, but next time, if there is a next time, we're going somewhere I can afford to pay. Deal? Next time? He asked. And there was something hopeful in his voice that made Maya's heart skip. I mean, if you want to. I'm having a really nice time. I'd like that very much, he said. And yes, next time you can choose the place. As they looked at the menu together, Maya couldn't help but smile. Maybe Lucy had been right. Maybe they were perfect for each other after all. 3 days after their first date. Maya's phone buzzed while she was helping 12-year-old Carlos with his math homework at the community center. "Maya, there's a call for you." Her coworker Janet called from across the room. "Hello?" Maya answered, stepping into the hallway for some quiet. "Hi, it's David from the other night." Maya's stomach did a little flip. She'd been hoping he would call, but she hadn't been sure. "Hi, how are you?" "I'm good. I was wondering, are you free Saturday afternoon? I know a great little coffee shop that makes the best sandwiches in the city." Maya smiled. After their expensive dinner, she appreciated that he was suggesting something more casual. "That sounds perfect. I love coffee shops. Great, I'll text you the address. How about 2 o'clock? When Saturday came, Maya found herself standing outside Bean There Coffee House, a cozy little place with mismatched chairs and local artwork on the walls. It was so different from the fancy restaurant where they'd met. She spotted David through the window already at a small table by the window, and her heart did that fluttering thing again. "You found it okay?" he asked as she sat down. "It's perfect," Maya said, looking around. "This is much more my style than that fancy place. Don't get me wrong, dinner was amazing, but this feels more real, you know?" David smiled, and Maya noticed he seemed more relaxed too. "I thought you might like it here. The owner, Mrs. Kim, makes everything from scratch. Wait until you try her grilled cheese." They ordered coffee and sandwiches, and Maya was surprised when David pulled out cash to pay instead of a credit card. Maybe he was more careful with money than she'd thought. That was good. She appreciated people who understood the value of a dollar. "So tell me more about those kids you work with," David said once they were settled with their food. "You mentioned Rosa last time, but you must have other stories." Maya's face lit up the way it always did when she talked about work. "Oh my gosh, yes. There's this kid, Miguel. He's 14 and acts all tough, like he doesn't care about anything. But last week I caught him reading to the little kids during story time. He was doing all these different voices for the characters. It was the sweetest thing. Sounds like you really see the best in people. I think everyone has something good in them. Sometimes it just takes time to find it." Maya took a bite of her grilled cheese. It really was incredible. "What about you? Do you enjoy your work?" David paused for a moment the way he had at dinner. "It's challenging. I work with a lot of different people, trying to solve problems. Some days are better than others. That's honest. I appreciate that. A lot of people pretend to love their jobs even when they don't." "What made you want to work with kids?" Maya thought about it while she sipped her coffee. "When I was little, we didn't have much money. My mom worked all the time just to keep food on the table. There was this community center in our neighborhood, kind of like where I work now. The people there made sure I had a safe place to go after school, help with homework, someone to talk to when things got tough at home. That must have meant a lot to you." "It changed my life, honestly. I probably wouldn't have made it through high school without them. Definitely wouldn't have gone to college. Now I get to be that person for other kids. It's like paying it forward, you know?" David was quiet for a moment, just watching her face as she talked. "You're pretty amazing," he said softly. Maya felt her cheeks get warm. "I'm really not. I'm just doing what feels right. That's what makes you amazing." They spent the next 2 hours talking about everything and nothing. David told her about growing up helping his parents in their store, learning to speak 3 languages because their customers came from all over the world. Maya shared stories about her college years, working in a diner while studying for her degree in social work. "I had this one professor who used to say that changing one life changes the whole world," Maya said. "It sounds cheesy, but I really believe it. Every kid we help could grow up to help other kids, you know? It spreads. Like ripples in a pond," David said. "Exactly." As they walked out of the coffee shop together, Maya realized she felt completely comfortable with this man. He was easy to talk to, a good listener, and he seemed genuinely interested in what she had to say. So many guys she'd dated before just waited for their turn to talk about themselves. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said as they stood on the sidewalk. "Anything. Why did you say yes to this blind date? I mean, you seem like you could meet people on your own." David looked down at his hands. "Honestly, I was getting tired of meeting the same type of people over and over. Everyone seemed to want something from me, or they were trying to impress me with things that didn't matter. When Lucy described you, she said you were genuine. That's rare. Lucy talked about me. She said you were the kind of person who would give someone her last dollar if they needed it. That you see the good in everyone. That you work harder than anyone she knows but never complains about it." Maya felt embarrassed. She makes me sound like a saint. I'm definitely not. Maybe, but you're real, and that matters more than you know. The following week, they went to a farmer's market together. David seemed to know quite a bit about fresh produce, and Maya watched him carefully select vegetables like he really knew what he was doing. My parents taught me how to pick the best fruits and vegetables, he explained when she commented on it. When you're running a small store, you learn to spot quality. They bought ingredients to make dinner together at Maya's apartment. Maya was a little embarrassed about her small space that she shared with 2 roommates, but David didn't seem to mind. He met her roommates, Kelly and Jen, and fit right in with their group. Your boyfriend seems really nice, Kelly whispered to Maya while David was helping Jen fix a wobbly chair leg. He's not my boyfriend, Maya whispered back, but she was smiling. Yet, Kelly added with a grin, David turned out to be a surprisingly good cook. He made a simple pasta dish with the vegetables they'd bought, but it tasted like something from a restaurant. Where did you learn to cook like this? Maya asked. My mom. She said any person who wants to take care of themselves and others should know how to make a good meal. After dinner, they sat on Maya's small couch watching an old movie. Maya had apologized for not having a bigger TV or a fancy sound system, but David said he preferred it this way. Why? Maya asked. It's cozy, personal. I like being close to you. Maya's heart skipped again. She was definitely falling for this guy. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a comfortable routine. Coffee dates, walks through different neighborhoods, cooking together. David always insisted on paying when they went out, which made Maya a little uncomfortable, but he explained that his parents had raised him to be a gentleman. It's not about money, he said when she protested. It's about showing respect and care for someone important to you. Maya introduced David to more of her world. He came to the community center one afternoon and helped with homework hour. The kids loved him. He was patient with the ones who struggled and encouraging with the ones who were ahead. Maya watched him help Rosa with a reading assignment and felt her heart swell. You're really good with them, she told him later as they walked to his car. They're great kids. You can see how much they look up to you. I hope I'm making a difference. Maya, you're changing their whole world. Don't ever doubt that. That evening, David drove her home to her neighborhood. Maya noticed his car was nicer than she'd first thought, but not flashy. Maybe he'd saved up for it or gotten a good deal. She respected that he seemed to take care of his things. I had a really nice time today, she said as they sat in the car outside her building. Me too. Your kids are lucky to have you. They're not my kids, but I love them like they are. David turned to look at her. That's what makes you so special, Maya. You love people. Really love them. Not because of what they can do for you or what they have, just because they're human beings who deserve to be loved. Doesn't everyone feel that way? No, David said quietly. They really don't. Maya studied his face. Sometimes when he talked, there was a sadness in his eyes that she couldn't quite understand, like he'd seen things that had disappointed him. Are you okay? She asked softly. I'm better than okay, he said, reaching over to take her hand. I'm with you. When David kissed her goodnight, Maya felt like she was floating. This man was nothing like anyone she'd ever dated. He was kind, thoughtful, and he seemed to really care about the things that mattered to her. Maybe Lucy had been right. Maybe they really were perfect for each other. As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, Maya couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she might have found something real, something lasting. David felt like the kind of man she could build a future with, someone who shared her values and understood what really mattered in life. She had no idea that the man she was falling in love with was keeping the biggest secret of his life from her, and she definitely didn't know that in just a few weeks everything would change. 6 weeks into their relationship, Maya found herself humming while she organized supplies at the community center. She couldn't help it. Every time she thought about David, she smiled. Their relationship had settled into something comfortable and real, like a favorite sweater that fits just right. Someone's in a good mood today, Janet observed, watching Maya sort through donated books with unusual enthusiasm. Am I that obvious? Maya laughed. Honey, you've been glowing for weeks. This David guy must be something special. He really was. Last weekend, he'd shown up at her apartment with groceries and cooked dinner for Maya and her roommates. When Kelly mentioned that her laptop had crashed and she couldn't afford to fix it, David had quietly offered to take a look at it. Somehow he'd managed to get it working again, claiming he'd just cleaned up some files. You're like a computer genius or something, Kelly had said. David had just shrugged. You pick things up when you work with technology all day. Maya had been impressed but not surprised. David seemed to be good at everything he tried. He'd helped Jen hang new curtains, fixed a leaky faucet in their bathroom, and even taught Maya's neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, how to use her new smartphone when they'd run into her in the hallway. "Where did you learn to do all this stuff?" Maya had asked him later. "My dad always said a man should know how to fix things and help people," David had replied. "Plus, YouTube tutorials are amazing these days." Now, as Maya finished organizing the books, she thought about their plans for tonight. David was picking her up after work, and they were going to try a new Thai restaurant that had opened up in her neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just good food and good company. That's how most of their dates went now, and Maya loved it. Her phone buzzed with a text from David. "Running a few minutes late. Work meeting went long. Still on for dinner?" Maya typed back, "Of course. Take your time. Work is important." She appreciated that David was responsible about his job, even if it was just accounting. He never talked about it much, which she understood. Numbers and spreadsheets probably weren't the most exciting topics for dinner conversation. When David arrived at the community center that evening, Maya was helping Rosa practice reading for an upcoming school presentation. David waited patiently in the lobby, chatting with some of the other kids who'd finished their homework. "Miss Maya's boyfriend is here," 8-year-old Carmen announced loudly, making Maya blush. "He's not my boyfriend," Maya said automatically, though she was smiling. "Yet," Rosa added with a grin that reminded Maya of her roommate Kelly. These kids were too smart for their own good. "Ready to go?" David asked when Maya finished with Rosa. "Ready," she said, grabbing her purse. As they walked out together, Maya noticed David slip a $20 bill into the donation jar by the door. He did that every time he visited, thinking she didn't see. It was sweet, even though $20 was probably a lot for someone in accounting. The Thai restaurant was small and busy, with mismatched tables and chairs that reminded Maya of the coffee shop where they'd had their second date. The owner, a tiny woman with kind eyes, seated them at a corner table and recommended her favorite dishes. "This place is perfect," Maya said, looking around at the family photos on the walls and the string lights hanging from the ceiling. "How did you find it?" "I asked Mrs. Rodriguez. She said it was the best Thai food in the neighborhood and the prices are reasonable." Maya loved that he'd thought to ask her neighbor for recommendations. It showed he was really paying attention to her world, the people and places that mattered to her. Over pad Thai and spring rolls, David asked about her day. Maya found herself telling him about a new family that had started coming to the center. The mother worked 2 jobs but was struggling to help her son with homework because she didn't speak English well enough. "It breaks my heart," Maya said. "She's working so hard, but she feels like she's failing her kid. I told her that loving him and keeping him safe is the most important job she has. The rest we can figure out together." David listened intently, the way he always did when she talked about work. "You told her the right thing. What kind of help does her son need?" "Math mostly. He's actually really smart. Just needs someone to explain things in a way that makes sense to him." "I'm pretty good at math," David said. "If you ever need an extra volunteer for homework help, I'd be happy to come by more often." Maya's heart melted a little. "You'd really do that?" "Of course. I love spending time with you, and those kids are important to you, so they're important to me." After dinner, they walked through Maya's neighborhood hand in hand. It was a warm evening, and people were sitting on stoops and front steps talking and laughing. Kids played on the sidewalks while their parents kept watchful eyes on them. "I love this," Maya said, squeezing David's hand. "The walk? All of it. The community, the way people look out for each other here. I know it's not fancy, but it feels like home, you know?" David stopped walking and turned to look at her. "It's perfect," he said softly. "Just like you." Maya felt her cheeks get warm the way they always did when he said things like that. "I'm not perfect, David, not even close. You are to me." They continued walking, and Maya found herself wondering about David's living situation again. They'd been dating for over a month now, but she'd never seen his place. Every time she'd suggested it, he'd had some excuse. First, he'd said he was staying with family while looking for a new apartment. Then he'd mentioned his place was being painted. Last week, he'd claimed his roommate was having relationship drama, and it wasn't a good time for visitors. Maya didn't want to push, but it was starting to seem odd. Maybe he was embarrassed about where he lived. She could understand that. Before she'd found her current roommates, she'd lived in some pretty terrible places. "David," she said as they reached her building, "can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Are you embarrassed about where you live? Because if you are, you don't need to be. I'm not judging you for anything like that." David looked surprised. "Why would you think I'm embarrassed? It's just we've been together for weeks now and I've never seen your place. If money's tight or you're living somewhere that's not great, I don't care. I like you for who you are, not what you have." For a moment, David looked almost pained. "Maya, it's complicated. How complicated can it be? You either have a place to live or you don't." David ran his hand through his hair, a gesture Maya had learned meant he was stressed about something. "I do have a place. It's just, my living situation is temporary right now. I'm figuring some things out." Maya studied his face. She could tell there was more to the story, but she didn't want to pressure him. Everyone had things they weren't ready to share. "Okay," she said simply. "When you're ready to show me, you will. I trust you." Relief flooded David's face. "Thank you for understanding." That's what people do when they care about each other. David pulled her close and kissed her, soft and sweet under the streetlight outside her building. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I care about you so much, Maya. More than I've ever cared about anyone. I care about you too." The next morning, Maya woke up with butterflies in her stomach. Not the good kind. Something had been bothering her since their conversation last night, though she couldn't put her finger on what. At work, she found herself distracted. During lunch, she called Lucy. "Hey girl, how's lover boy?" Lucy asked cheerfully. "He's good. Really good. But Lucy, can I ask you something about him?" "Sure, what's up?" "You said he works in accounting with your cousin Tom, right?" "Yeah, why? What's Tom's last name again?" There was a pause. "Johnson." "Why are you asking?" Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "And David's last name?" I never actually asked Tom what David's last name was. Tom just said there was this nice guy at work who was single and looking to meet someone genuine." "Why? What's wrong?" "Probably nothing," Maya said, but her stomach was churning. "It's just I realized I don't know his last name either, and that seems weird after dating for 6 weeks." "Did you ask him?" "Not directly. I guess I assumed it would come up naturally." "Maya, you're overthinking this. Just ask him tonight. I'm sure there's a simple explanation." But as Maya hung up the phone, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. The expensive clothes, the way he always paid for everything, his knowledge about things that seemed beyond what an accountant would know, and now the mystery about where he lived. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe David was just private about some things. Everyone had a right to their privacy, especially early in a relationship. Still, that evening when David picked her up for their usual coffee date, Maya found herself studying his face more carefully. Looking for signs of what? She wasn't even sure. "You're quiet tonight," David observed as they sat in their favorite corner of Bean There Coffee House. "Everything okay?" "Just thinking about work stuff," Maya said, which wasn't entirely a lie. She was thinking about work, and how much she'd grown to trust this man and how scary it would be if that trust was misplaced. "Want to talk about it?" Maya looked into his kind brown eyes, the same eyes that had looked at her with such warmth for weeks now. Whatever secrets David might have, she was sure of one thing. His feelings for her were real. She could see it in the way he looked at her, the way he listened when she talked, the way he'd integrated himself into her world. "No, it's okay," she said, reaching across the table to take his hand. "I'm just happy to be here with you." David smiled and squeezed her hand. "Me too." But even as they talked and laughed over coffee and pastries, Maya couldn't completely push away the tiny voice in her head whispering that something wasn't quite right. She just had no idea how not right it really was. Maya rushed through the lobby of the gleaming downtown office building, clutching a manila folder against her chest. Lucy had forgotten to submit some important paperwork for a grant application, and Maya had volunteered to drop it off at her office before the deadline. "Excuse me?" Maya said to the security guard at the front desk. "I need to deliver something to Lucy Martinez on the 15th floor. The guard checked his list and handed her a visitor's badge. "Elevators are right over there." Maya had never been in such a fancy office building before. The marble floors sparkled and massive windows stretched from floor to ceiling. Everyone walking through the lobby looked like they'd stepped out of a business magazine. wearing expensive suits and carrying leather briefcases. She pressed the button for the elevator, feeling out of place in her simple jeans and community center t-shirt. The elevator was packed with people, all talking quietly on their phones or staring at tablets. "Did you see the news about Alexander Chen's latest project?" a man in a navy suit was saying to his colleague. "The Chen Group just bought that entire block downtown. They're planning to build luxury condos." "Smart move," the other man replied. "Chen has the golden touch. Everything he invests in turns to profit." Maya half listened to their conversation, more focused on watching the floor numbers climb. 15th floor couldn't come fast enough. She felt completely out of her element here. "I heard he's only 32, the first man continued. "Can you imagine being worth that much money at 32? The guy could buy and sell half the city." "Must be nice," his friend said with a laugh. "Though I heard he's pretty down to earth for a billionaire. My buddy works in his building and says Chen actually knows people's names, asks about their families." The elevator stopped at the 10th floor, and several people got off. Maya moved closer to the back, trying to stay out of the way. "Alexander Chen," the first man was still talking. "I wonder what it's like to have that kind of power. Make decisions that affect thousands of people's lives." Maya's stomach lurched, but she wasn't sure why. Something about that name. When the elevator reached the 15th floor, Maya practically ran out. She found Lucy's office and knocked on the door. "Maya." Lucy looked surprised to see her. "What are you doing here?" "You forgot the grant application," Maya said, handing over the folder. "The deadline is today, remember?" "Oh my God, yes. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver." Maya was about to leave when curiosity got the better of her. "Lucy, can I ask you something weird?" "Sure." "That guy you set me up with, David, what's his full name again?" Lucy looked confused. "I told you I never actually got his full name from Tom. Why?" "It's probably nothing, but I just heard some people in the elevator talking about someone named Alexander Chen. Does that name mean anything to you?" Lucy shook her head. "Never heard of him. Why, I don't know. It just sounded familiar somehow." Maya left Lucy's office feeling unsettled. As she waited for the elevator, she pulled out her phone and did something she'd never done before. She Googled Alexander Chen. The results made her knees weak. Photo after photo of a man in expensive suits shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. Alexander Chen, CEO of Chen Group. Alexander Chen at charity galas. Alexander Chen being interviewed on financial news shows. And in every single photo it was David. Her David. The man who claimed to be an accountant. The man who insisted on paying for their modest dinners and coffee dates. The man who said he was staying with family while looking for an apartment. Maya's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. She clicked on a news article from just 2 weeks ago. Chen Group announces $500 million investment in affordable housing initiative. There was a quote from Alexander Chen. "Everyone deserves a safe, affordable place to call home. This investment will create opportunities for families who have been priced out of their own neighborhoods." Maya felt sick. She stumbled into the elevator, barely noticing the other people around her. Her mind was racing, trying to make sense of what she'd discovered. David wasn't David, he was Alexander Chen, a billionaire. One of the richest men in the city, and he'd been lying to her for 2 months. By the time Maya made it back to the community center, she was in full panic mode. Why would someone like Alexander Chen pretend to be a regular guy? Was this all some kind of joke to him? Was he slumming it with the poor girl for fun? "Maya, you look terrible," Janet said when she walked in. "What happened?" "I need to make a phone call," Maya said, heading straight for her office. She called David's number with shaking fingers. "Hey, beautiful," his familiar voice answered. "How was your day?" "I need to see you," Maya said, her voice tight. "Right now, of course." "Is everything okay?" "You sound upset. Just come to the community center." "Please. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Maya spent those 20 minutes pacing around her small office, trying to figure out what she was going to say. How do you confront someone about lying about their entire identity? When David arrived, he looked genuinely concerned. He was wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt, the same casual clothes he always wore when he came to see her. But now Maya noticed things she'd missed before. The watch on his wrist that probably cost more than she made in a year. The way his clothes fit perfectly, like they'd been tailored just for him. "Maya, what's wrong?" he asked, reaching for her hands. She pulled away. "Who are you?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, who are you, really?" Because I know you're not David the accountant. The color drained from his face. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Maya, I can explain. Are you Alexander Chen? He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Yes, Maya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. Even though she'd known, hearing him confirm it made everything real. So everything you told me was a lie? No, not everything. My feelings for you, everything about how I feel, that's all real. But your name is a lie. Your job is a lie. Where you live is a lie. Maya's voice was getting louder, and she could hear kids in the hallway outside her office. She forced herself to speak more quietly. What else have you lied about? Maya, please, let me explain how this happened. How what happened? How you decided to play pretend with the poor girl. Was this entertaining for you? It wasn't like that at all. Alexander ran his hands through his hair, that gesture she'd grown to love but now made her angry. That first night at the restaurant, you sat down at my table by mistake. I was supposed to be meeting a business associate. But when you started talking, when I saw how genuine and sweet you were, I didn't want to correct the mistake. So you decided to lie to me instead. I didn't plan it. It just happened. And then, the more time I spent with you, the more I realized that you were seeing me for who I really am inside. Not what I have or what I can do for people. Do you know how rare that is? Maya felt tears burning her eyes. So this whole time, while I was worrying about splitting dinner bills and feeling bad that I couldn't afford to take you nice places, you're worth millions of dollars. Billions, Alexander said quietly. Billions. Maya's voice cracked. Oh my God. This is so much worse than I thought. Maya, please. Those kids out there, Maya pointed toward the door. They trust me. They look up to me. And here I am, being played by some rich guy who thought it would be fun to pretend to be normal. That's not what this was. I love you, Maya. I've never felt this way about anyone. You don't love me. You love the idea of me. You love having someone who doesn't know how rich you are. It probably made you feel good about yourself. That's not true. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Do you know what the worst part is? All those times you insisted on paying for dinner, and I felt guilty because I thought you were spending money you couldn't afford. I kept suggesting cheaper places because I didn't want you to go broke trying to impress me. Alexander looked like she'd slapped him. Maya, and your apartment. All those excuses about why I couldn't see where you lived. Let me guess, you have some huge penthouse somewhere. That doesn't matter. It does matter. Everything about this matters. You made me feel stupid, Alexander. Do you understand that? For 2 months, you let me believe we were equals, that we were building something real together. But we were never equals. You were always looking down at me from way up there in your billionaire world. I never looked down at you. If anything, I looked up to you. You do more good in one day than I do in a year. Don't. Maya held up her hand. Don't try to make this about how wonderful I am. This is about how you lied to me. This is about how you made a fool out of me. Rosa appeared in the doorway looking worried. Miss Maya, are you okay? We heard yelling. Maya quickly wiped her face and tried to smile. I'm fine, sweetie. Mr. David was just leaving. Rosa looked between Maya and Alexander, clearly sensing the tension. Okay, but if you need anything. Thank you, Rosa. I'll be out in a few minutes. After Rosa left, Maya turned back to Alexander. You need to go. Maya, please. Give me a chance to make this right. How? How do you make lying about your entire identity right? How do you make me trust you again when I don't even know who you really are? Alexander looked desperate. I'm the same person you've been spending time with for 2 months. I'm the same person who helps with homework hour and makes you laugh and cares about those kids out there because they matter to you. No, you're not. That person was David. David doesn't exist. He never did. He does exist. He's me. He's who I am when I'm with you. Maya shook her head. I can't do this. I can't be with someone who lies to me about something this big. If you can lie about this, what else would you lie about? I would never lie to you again. I swear. How can I believe anything you say now? Alexander stared at her for a long moment, and Maya could see the exact moment when he realized she was serious. When he understood that this wasn't something he could fix with an explanation or an apology. I love you, he said one more time. Maybe you do, Maya said, tears streaming down her face now. But love isn't enough when it's built on lies. Alexander nodded slowly like he finally understood. I'm sorry, Maya, I'm so sorry. After he left, Maya sat in her office and cried harder than she had in years. Not just because of the lies, but because she really had loved him. David or Alexander or whoever he was, She had fallen completely in love with him, and now that person was gone and she didn't know if he'd ever been real at all. 3 weeks passed without a single word from Alexander. Maya threw herself into work, staying late every night at the community center and volunteering for extra weekend shifts, anything to keep her mind busy and her heart from aching. "You need to eat something," Kelly said, watching Maya push scrambled eggs around her plate at breakfast. "And sleep. And maybe talk to someone about this." "I'm fine," Maya said automatically. "You're not fine. You've lost weight, you barely sleep, and yesterday I saw you crying while folding laundry. That's not fine." Maya's roommate was right, but she didn't know how to fix it. How do you get over someone when you don't even know if the person you fell in love with was real? At work that morning, Maya found the community center buzzing with unusual excitement. Kids were running around talking over each other, and even Janet looked flustered. "What's going on?" Maya asked. "You need to sit down," Janet said, leading her to the break room. "Why? What happened?" Janet handed her an official-looking letter. "This came this morning, along with about 20 other documents and a very serious-looking lawyer." Maya read the letter once, then again, then a third time. The words didn't seem real. The Riverside Community Center had been selected to receive a major grant from an anonymous donor. The grant would fund a complete renovation of the building. New computers, a full kitchen for cooking classes, an art studio, a small library, and most importantly, a new after-school program that would serve twice as many kids. The letter went on to explain that the donor had specifically requested that Maya Rodriguez be offered the position of program director, with a salary that was more than double what she currently made. "Maya," Janet said gently, "this is incredible news. This is everything you've dreamed about." Maya stared at the letter, her hands shaking. "Who's the donor?" "It's anonymous, but Maya, you know who this is." Maya did know. Of course she knew. Alexander had somehow found out about her dreams for the perfect community center and made them come true. The generous, romantic gesture she'd always imagined receiving from someone who loved her, and it made her furious. "I can't accept this," Maya said, standing up abruptly. "What? Maya, are you crazy? This is $1 million grant. I know exactly what this is. It's guilt money." Maya spent the rest of the day in a fog. The kids kept asking her about the new program, their faces bright with excitement, and she didn't have the heart to tell them she might turn it down. How could she explain that accepting the grant felt like accepting charity from the man who'd broken her heart? That evening, Maya sat on her tiny apartment balcony, staring at the grant paperwork spread across her lap. Her phone rang. "Lucy?" Maya answered, surprised to hear from her friend. "Maya, I need to tell you something. About your David." "Alexander, you mean?" "Right. I did some digging after you told me what happened. I called my cousin Tom and asked him about the guy he recommended." Maya's stomach dropped. "And? Tom never recommended anyone." "He has no idea what I was talking about." "Maya, I think I made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" Lucy's voice was small. "I think I mixed up conversations. Tom mentioned there was this really successful guy at some business meeting who seemed lonely and down to earth. But Tom never said he wanted to be set up with anyone. I think I created this whole blind date idea in my head and then convinced myself Tom had suggested it." Maya closed her eyes. "So the blind date was never supposed to happen at all?" "I'm so sorry, Maya. I thought I was helping. I had no idea this would all get so complicated." After hanging up, Maya understood what had really happened that night at the restaurant. Alexander hadn't been waiting for a blind date at all. He'd been having a business meeting and she'd just sat down at the wrong table. The whole thing had been a complete accident, but that didn't make the lies okay. If anything, it made them worse. He'd had plenty of chances to tell her the truth. The next morning, Maya arrived at the community center to find Rosa waiting for her with tears in her eyes. "Miss Maya, is it true that we might not get the new program?" "Where did you hear that?" "I heard you telling Miss Janet that you might not accept it. But Miss Maya, this program would change everything for us. Miguel could take the computer classes he wants. Carmen could learn to paint. And you could help even more kids." Maya knelt down to Rosa's level. "Sweetie, it's complicated. Is it because of Mr. David?" "Because he hurt your feelings?" Maya was surprised. "How do you know about that?" "We all saw you crying that day, and we haven't seen him since. We liked him, Miss Maya. He was nice to us." "I know he was. Whatever he did wrong, don't you think helping kids is more important than being mad at him?" Out of the mouths of babes. Rosa was 10 years old and she'd just pointed out something Maya had been too hurt to see clearly. That afternoon, Maya found herself standing outside the gleaming office building, where she'd discovered the truth about Alexander. She'd called ahead and somehow gotten an appointment with him. The receptionist had seemed surprised that someone was asking to see Mr. Chen without going through his assistant first. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. Maya had changed clothes 3 times before coming here, finally settling on her nicest dress and the good shoes she saved for special occasions. She wanted to look professional, not like someone begging for favors. Alexander's office was bigger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed a view of the whole city, but Maya barely noticed any of it because Alexander was standing by his desk, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. "Maya," he said, his voice full of surprise and hope. "You came. We need to talk, of course. Please sit down. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? I'm not here for a social visit, Alexander." Maya sat down in one of the leather chairs across from his desk. "I'm here about the grant." His face fell slightly. "Oh, did you really think I wouldn't figure out it was from you? I hoped you'd accept it regardless. Those kids deserve that program." "Don't." Maya held up her hand. "Don't make this about the kids. This is about you trying to buy your way back into my life." Alexander sat down across from her. "That's not what this is. Then what is it?" "It's me trying to do something good with the resources I have. It's me trying to make your dreams come true because I love you and I want you to be happy, even if I can't be part of that happiness." Maya studied his face. He looked genuine, but then again, she'd thought he was genuine when he was pretending to be someone else entirely. "The program director position," she said, "with the higher salary. That was your idea, too. You deserve to be paid what you're worth. You deserve to have the resources to do the work you love without worrying about making rent. And what do you get out of it?" Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "The knowledge that you're happy, that you're doing what you love, that those kids have someone like you fighting for them." Maya felt tears threatening again. "This is so unfair. I know. I'm sorry. No, you don't understand. It's unfair because this is exactly the kind of thing the David I fell in love with would do. Generous, thoughtful, putting the kids first. But I can't trust that it's real because you lied to me about everything else. My feelings for you were never a lie, Maya. They were the most real thing in my life. How am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to trust anything you say?" Alexander stood up and walked to the window. "You can't, I understand that. I broke your trust and I don't know how to earn it back. Maybe I never can." Maya watched him standing there, shoulders slumped in defeat, and felt her heart breaking all over again, because she could see the man she'd fallen in love with. David or Alexander, whatever his name was. This was the person who'd listened to her dreams and cared about her work and made her feel like she was the most important person in the world. "Why didn't you just tell me the truth?" she asked softly. "After that first night, why didn't you just explain what happened?" Alexander turned back to her. "Because I was selfish. Because for the first time in my adult life, someone was looking at me and seeing a person instead of a bank account. You talked to me like I was just David, a regular guy who might understand what it's like to work hard for things. And I loved that feeling so much I didn't want it to end. But it had to end sometime. I kept telling myself I'd tell you soon, next week, next month, but every time I was with you, I forgot about the lie because everything else felt so real." Maya stood up and walked to where he was standing by the window. The city spread out below them, thousands of lights representing thousands of people living their lives. "I've been thinking about what Rosa said to me yesterday." "Rosa?" "One of the kids from the center. She told me that whatever you did wrong, helping kids was more important than being mad at you." Alexander's eyes widened with hope. "She's right," Maya continued, "about the program. Those kids need this opportunity and I need to put their needs before my hurt feelings. Does that mean you'll accept the grant?" "Yes, but with conditions." "Anything. First, no more anonymous donations. If you want to support the center, you do it openly. These kids deserve to know who's helping them." Alexander nodded. "Done. Second, you stay away from the center for a while. I need time to process all of this without seeing you every day." That one clearly hurt him, but he nodded again. "If that's what you need." "And third," Maya took a deep breath, "when I'm ready, if I'm ever ready, you have to be completely honest with me about everything. No more lies, no more secrets. I need to know who Alexander Chen really is, not just the David you pretended to be." I promise. Complete honesty. Maya looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of deception. All she saw was sincerity and regret and love. I can't promise I'll be able to forgive you, she said. I can't promise we'll ever be together again. But I'm willing to try to trust you again. If you're willing to earn it, I'll spend the rest of my life earning it if that's what it takes. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of the newly renovated Riverside Community Center, watching kids stream in for the first day of the expanded after-school program. The building had been transformed into everything she'd dreamed of and more. The computer lab was full of kids learning to code. The art studio echoed with laughter and creativity. The new kitchen smelled like the cookies Rosa was learning to bake. Miss Maya. Carmen ran up to her with a painted canvas. Look what I made. The painting was of the community center with all the kids playing outside and Maya standing in the doorway smiling. It's beautiful, Carmen. I painted you smiling because you're happy now. You weren't happy for a while, but now you are again. Carmen was right. Maya was happy. The program was everything she'd hoped it would be, and more kids were getting help than ever before. She was finally doing exactly what she'd always wanted to do. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Alexander. Saw the news story about the center's success. I'm so proud of you. The kids are lucky to have you. Amaya smiled and typed back, thank you. For everything. It had taken 6 months, but Maya had slowly begun to trust Alexander again. Not romantically, not yet, but as someone who genuinely cared about her and the kids. He'd kept his promise to be completely honest, answering every question she'd asked about his life, his business, his reasons for everything. They'd started having coffee once a month, just as friends. Alexander told her about the changes he was making to his business, focusing more on affordable housing and community development. Maya told him about the kids and the program's success. Last week, he'd asked if she wanted to have dinner sometime. Not at a fancy restaurant, just at the little Thai place in her neighborhood. Maya had said she'd think about it. Standing there watching Rosa help a younger child with reading, watching Miguel teach Carmen how to use the new computers, watching dreams come true all around her. Maya realized she had thought about it. She pulled out her phone and typed, "Dinner sounds nice, but you're buying, Mr. Billionaire." Alexander's response came immediately. I wouldn't have it any other way. Though I should warn you, I'm still the same guy who's going to insist on walking you to your door afterward. Maya laughed out loud. I'm counting on it. Sometimes love doesn't conquer all on the first try. Sometimes it takes time, honesty, and the wisdom of 10-year-olds to remind you what really matters. But when it's real love, built on truth and trust and shared dreams for making the world better, it's worth the wait.